So we're going to discuss Another World, a 2015 movie. Now, if you're over 30, you may be thinking this is an adaptation of the classic PT game, also called Another World. Alas, it isn't. This is actually a kind of zombie film from Israel, of all places. So what is the premise of Another World? So basically this takes place after some kind of catastrophic event. Now, we're led a few theories in this one, but basically there's some kind of virus that has turned the majority of the populace into zombie-esque style sort of creatures. Then they're kind of really straight out of the 28 days later kind of rage-infected virus kind of playbook. I'm not quite sure if they're actually undead rather than kind of like rage-infected types of kind of people here, but more or less zombies pretty much. And it really focuses on 4 survivors as they basically try and kind of go from place to place to try and get away from this kind of threat basically, and try and find some safe haven. Although they're actually fairly proactive, and they actually try and go around and kind of almost just kill off any kind of zombies that are basically in the vicinity. So they're a little bit more proactive than probably the majority of these films. But this film has a kind of another sort of trick up its sleeve as well. The 4 protagonists of this film, it tries to have a bit of like of human drama and kind of a bit of dichotomy between the cast, basically, as all 4 of these sort of characters have kind of different worldviews and different kind of like moral standards and things like that. So we've got a doctor, we've got a soldier, we've got a scientist, we've got a kind of like a dreamer almost. So these kind of 4 clashing ideologies we see both kind of working well together as a team and obviously at odds with each other at any one time as well. There's also a kind of a subplot here about somehow the kind of these virus infected people may be controlled by some other sort of smarter intelligence. There's actually a fair amount going on here. Now, the budget of this movie is $1 million, so this is kind of a lower budget affair. So with most low budget films, I do try and cut it some slack in regards to some of the maybe shortcomings that are just down to the kind of budgetary reasons. But let's talk about the positives and negatives of Another World. So we'll start with the negatives on this one first of all. Now, being from a movie from Israel, basically, I think the audio is basically kind of overdubbed, because it sounds like it's kind of a lot of the audio is coming from a sound booth rather from the actors themselves. So you kind of have almost a kind of slightly artificial feel to some of the dialogue when it's kind of being said. In addition to the dialogue, I think some of the dialogue, the way it's written, is quite hammy. So it comes across as kind of a little bit trite. And sometimes a little bit kind of strained to me as well. The actual use of Shaky Cam is going to be a little bit much for some people, I feel, this movie as well. It does kind of go a little bit overboard sometimes with the Shaky Cam. I understand in kind of some of the action sequences and stuff like that to kind of give it to this kinetic feel, but I feel it just goes a little bit too far in kind of certain areas. And kind of one of the selling points of this film is the fact that, as well as a kind of a zombie film, it's actually this kind of experiment, if you like, with these kind of 4 different kind of personality types. And although that is a good thing, I feel that some of the characters were a little bit too just all in one camp. Whilst if you look at the general populace, I feel that people have many facets to their personalities rather than kind of being defined by sort of this one singular trait, which they sort of seem to be in this movie. But let's talk about some of the kind of the positives in this film. For a $1 million movie, this film, it looks incredibly good. I think it does a fantastic job of some of the world building here. We kind of go out and see some fantastic exterior shots, and it kind of looks like it is a world that is ravaged by this kind of virus, and it has a frantic and breakneck pace, and there's some fantastic action set pieces, and the zombies in this movie, let me tell you, they're pretty vicious. And even though I think this movie tries to draw more from the human elements, there is quite a lot of zombie action as well. I feel some of these movies that try to have the zombies as kind of almost a backdrop sometimes kind of forget about it a little bit too much, and when we kind of want to watch a zombie film, we want to kind of see some zombies in it, and this film doesn't disappoint on that level as well. And they're kind of quite vicious, and there's lots of kind of like gooey gore effects, although it's not overly gory here. I have to say that there are some good action set pieces here. There's lots of kind of gun battles, and they do seem to have infinite amounts of ammo as a kind of another little nitpick here. And I quite like the fact that you do have this kind of this interesting dynamic between these kind of like these four sort of characteristics, and it makes for kind of like a compelling characters. And like I said, this actually does go a little bit further in regards to kind of plot as well. I think it has a little bit more plot and a little bit more surprises and things that it kind of, as the film progresses, it unravels a little bit more, basically. You could have learned more about maybe the reasons behind this outbreak and stuff like that, and the motivations of characters and kind of, you know, hidden agendas and stuff like that. So it kind of has more going on than your kind of your average run-of-the-mill sort of straight-to-video sort of zombie flick. I think you can. This is a pretty good movie if you can kind of get past some of the kind of the technical shortcomings, and obviously I put the majority of that down to sort of budgetary concerns. I guess the one thing that kind of bothered me really was some of the dialogue. Like I said, it was just a little bit trite for me. But overall, I thought this was a decent film, especially for, you know, its relatively low budget. I would definitely check it out if you're a zombie fan. I'm going to give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave a comment and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.